Hi guys, Ryan here. Wanted to talk today about buying your first drum set or buying another drum set if you're getting another one. It's really confusing, I think, when you're first starting out. If you're a parent out there and you've never bought a drum set for your child and you don't know exactly what you're getting into, there are seemingly endless configurations and brands and different pieces of a drum set, and it's really confusing in my opinion. So I'm here today to talk about what you really need and what you want to look for. Now, I recommend looking in some kind of classified ads. Look at local stuff, look at stuff that's for sale, because this is an instrument that will keep and do well for a long time. And there's always going to be someone with one of these stuck in their garage or their attic or something, and they want to unload it for relatively small cost. So this drum set that I use, that I'm making my videos with now, is not a high quality drum set at all. The brand is Sound Percussion, which I don't think I had ever heard of before I bought this thing. The cymbals are, these two cymbals are the Sound Percussion brand. They came with it. This cymbal is a Meinl brand, which is a German brand, which is a fine brand, but this is one of the cheapy cymbals. This is everything that you want and need ideally. It was a great situation for me. I found a guy that was having a baby, and they couldn't, they needed the room for the baby's room. I had to go to the drum set, and he got rid of it, sold it to me for 180 bucks, which is a great deal. New, something like this would probably cost closer to $300 to $400. So let's look at the different pieces. This big piece, obviously, the foundation of the whole thing is the bass drum. It doesn't really matter what size you have at all. You just want one of these big suckers here on the bottom. Now, if you can get a shot right over here of the bass drum pedal, you want to make sure that when you're buying a used drum set that there's going to be a pedal. These are detachable. This thing comes right off if you loosen the bolt right here. And some drummers will, that have multiple drum sets and things, will sell drum sets without pedals sometimes. They have very fancy, expensive pedals that they've invested into, and they'll want to sell everything but the pedals. So make sure that you've got the bass drum pedal with the bass drum. Now, mounted on the bass drum are the tom drums. You really only need one. In fact, I like playing with just one. But sometimes you'll mount another one right here, and there'll be two, and sometimes the drum set will have others that come out here, and you'll have lots of them. You really only need one. I would get at least one. And then you have a bigger tom drum that you generally call the floor tom that kind of plays off to the side here. Usually these are going to be about a 12-inch diameter and about a 16-inch diameter. 12 and 16. But that's not really important. It doesn't really matter what the sizes are, okay? You just want to have something high and something low with the bass drum, because that can give you endless combinations and abilities to play stuff you want, to play really cool music. The other drum is this one. This is the snare drum. And if anybody's not aware, the snare drum has these wires going across the bottom, which we call the snares, and they give it that unique sound. So you want to be sure this is your arguably most important drum. So you want to make sure that there is a snare drum with the snare wires, and you want this is the snare throw off. It's a switch that lets you take the snares off, it releases them from the bottom of the head. You want to make sure that it's got a throw off on here. This one is a real piece of junk that doesn't work very well, but it does work. So I can turn the snares on or off. Of course, for the snare drum, you want to make sure that there's the stand that it comes with to put it on. If not, if you find something without the stand, stands aren't too expensive, so it's not a huge deal. But these are your minimum. You want to have at least 4 drums. And generally, when people advertise drum sets for sale, whether it's classified ad or whether it's an online store or something, it will say something like 3-piece, 4-piece, 5-piece drum set. The pieces are the drums. So if you see 5-piece drum set, it's going to be 5 drums. That'll be usually a bass drum, 3 toms, and a snare. This is a 4-piece drum set. Next, for the cymbals, you want to have at least this much, if you can. If you can only get one of these bigger ones, that's fine. That's fine for starting out. But ideally, you would like to have a larger one and a smaller one. The large one, you want to make it at least 20 inches in diameter if you can. This is your ride cymbal. This is thicker and heavier, and you generally play on top of it and you play patterns. You can play quicker patterns. And this one is thinner, smaller, and you don't play patterns on it. You just hit the thing hard to make it give you the crash sound. So this is your ride cymbal, your crash cymbal. This is probably about a 20-inch cymbal and probably about a 16-inch cymbal, and that's pretty common. Again, the exact sizes don't matter that much, but you would prefer to have a large and then a smaller one. These are your hi-hats. Make sure that there's a working pedal that you can put your foot on to clamp them down together. I would kind of make sure that this is working. There's a wing nut here that allows you to release this, and there's a whole little assembly here with the chain and so forth. As long as you can just open and close the wing nut and then put your foot down on here to make the cymbals open and close and get a sound, that's what you need. These cymbals are the cymbals that came with the drum set originally. They're really not good cymbals at all, but they're totally fine. They're fine for practicing and fine for learning and fine for enjoying music and all that kind of thing. Last but not least is the chair, or as we drummers like to call it, the throne. Sometimes drum sets are sold without this. And if you don't have one, you can substitute it with something else. You might have a piano bench or some kind of chair that fits okay, and that'll work. Eventually you will want to get something like this. They're designed for sitting on for longer periods of time. This is a pretty comfy one, and they can adjust the height and sort of the shape of the bass allows you to fit it in with your equipment more easily than if you had like a square chair with legs. So that's your ideal setup right there. Again, this was $180 for me out of a classified ad. It's really not a quality drum set, but it doesn't matter. This is what I play on and practice on all the time, and it's great. I love it. And if at some point I want to sell the thing, I'll probably be able to list it for more than what I bought it for, and get rid of it and not feel bad about having invested a ton of money in something brand new and having to sell it for less. So, if you have questions about buying a drum set, please let me know. drumsetlessons4kids@gmail.com is the email address. Leave a comment here on YouTube or visit the Facebook page, and I will do whatever I can to answer your specific questions. And happy drum set buying. See you next time.